Over 1 million people in Puerto Rico are still without power after Hurricane Fiona devastated the island.
President Biden approved a major disaster declaration to help the U.S. territory and spoke about it during a briefing with FEMA.
And as part of the declaration, I'm announcing today that I've authorized 100% federal funding for debris removal, search and rescue, power and water restoration, shelter and food for the whole month. 100%.
Joining us now for more on this is Chloe Demrovsky. She's the president and CEO of the Disaster Recovery Institute International. Chloe, thank you for being here. Give us just the latest update on how folks are doing in the island as far as access to power and how serious things are days after Fiona left.
It's pretty serious, especially considering this was a Category 1 storm. So you'd think that we'd be in better shape for dealing with this. The island has about 1.5 million residents. About 1 million of them are still lacking power. So it's a really serious situation. There are some, good spots in the sense that 75% of cell phone tower reception remain undamaged, and that's really important when we get to this phase of search and rescue. So if people need help, they can actually get through and communicate to people. And then there's a lot more generators on the island, which is a really big improvement since what we were seeing 5 years ago with Hurricane Maria, especially in places like hospitals. They have the generators that they need in place to be able to make sure that they can continue to deliver life-saving care.
Such a basic, essential thing. Right.
Right. And those are the centers where people, if they are injured, they're coming to those hospitals for care.
So those were some good things that happened after Maria. But 5 years later, the island still hasn't recovered fully from Maria. How is this storm now impacting those rebuilding efforts? And are they doing things differently so that it, as you mentioned, it's a Category 1. It was low level compared to what was possible. Are they building in new systems to try and avoid every time this happens, another disaster?
Well, the main problem is the electrical grid, the power grid, and it has been mismanaged for a long time. It's an antiquated system. It's a patched system, and they're trying to fix it. And so after Hurricane Maria, there were tens of billions. I think the government, the Accountability Office has said that $32.2 billion has been distributed to FEMA. Some of that is going to the long-term resilience of fixing, say, the power grid, but that was already determined to be a 10-year process out from Maria. And that's not even accounting for things like this or supply chain issues. So the problem is that a lot of the power is generated in the southern part of the island. Right. Then it has to be transmitted and distributed, a lot of it to the northern part of the island.
Which is where people live.
Yeah, that's where the population base is. And the center is mountainous terrain. So it's just a really difficult situation. They've brought in a public-private consortium to sort of help. That's an American-Canadian company to take over. But so far, not a lot has been spent and a lot more needs to be done.
Well, let's talk more about that. What about the money? Because even when it was 5 years ago, and there's, of course, massive Puerto Rican population all over the U.S., people have been raising money, sending money, doing what they can to raise awareness and get help to those who need it. But as of last check, the government's only spent, about 19% of the $28 billion in funding that FEMA directed for post-Maria recovery projects. So what's the holdup? Where's this money going? And why are they waiting?
Well, that's part of the problem. And you talked about the 19% that's been spent, but that's not even accounting for what it's been spent on. So it has to get to the island, it has to be spent, and it has to be spent effectively. And there have been a lot of challenges. There's been missteps with, the wrong kinds of contractors brought in. You need to have experience working in an island, working in mountainous terrain. And then in this transition to having a private company, there were a lot of labor disputes. So, for example, a lot of the experienced linemen who understood how to work in Puerto Rico were not rehired, or there were labor shortages. So it's not like the grid was in great shape and then this happened.
Right.
They've been having rolling blackouts and brownouts since this transition. I mean, LUMA, which is the name of this private consortium, it is not exactly popular in Puerto Rico, and that was before Fiona.
All right, Chloe Demrovsky, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Chloe.